And welcome back live at the Carrabba's Italian Grill at the Fayetteville Town Center. It's Gomez from Gomez & Company on TK99 and TK105, along with head coach Red Autry. And welcome to those joining us here in the stream chat at the QSportsTalk.com. If you have a question or a comment for the coach, we'll get to as many as we can here throughout the show. And Coach, snow, it's all right. It's still February. It comes with the turf here in town.
Not bad.
So when you were being recruited and you came to visit, what month did you come?
It was actually October.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah, it was October. It was
smart move.
Yeah, it was. It was in October.
Get you in.
Yeah, it was October. It might have been the end of September, October, but it was a little chilly.
A little chilly, but that was a good month to
sweatshirt weather.
And it obviously, like a coach always used to say, fortunately you play indoors, so it doesn't really make a difference. But does that come up at all with recruits or families or whatever?
People always talk about that, but it's like it's cold everywhere.
Yeah,
it snows. It snows in a lot of places. Like let's stop it.
That's it. And we play inside. We don't play outside.
Oh yeah, the most important places you need to be is inside, classroom and basketball.
There you go,
gym.
Let me see if we can get right to the questions here. Steve wants to know what traits, coach, do you look for in a player when you decide who is starting, and then what traits do you look for in a guy when he's coming off the bench?
Ooh, that's a lot of
scenarios in there.
A lot of scenarios, but I think you got to look at your team, your talent. You got to figure out how you want to play. So I think you got to start those places and seeing what you got and trying to figure out the identity of your team. And I think after that you start picking out. I think you go from there of what you have and you go from there. But a lot of things about starters, things that matter to me is consistency, dependability, accountability, and an understanding of what we're trying to do. And so, those are some of the characteristics I look for in starters. If you're a starter, you got to be dependable. You got to be there every day. Every day. That doesn't mean you play well every day, but you got to be there every day and understanding what we're doing. You got to be a leader. You got to be, you got to be carrying a message. You got to be doing all the things that I'm asking you to do.
And as far as guys coming off the bench, I mean, famously, Deion Waiters came off the bench and then, ended up being a first-round draft pick.
I think the bench and the guys that step up, they have a criteria of understanding what their role is and understanding when they come in and gelling with the other guys. So again, I think it's really about your approach, your attitude. So basketball comes down like mostly to attitude. How you see things and how you work through things. An effort. But and sometimes some of your, for example, the Deion situation, that was best for that team. At that particular moment in time, it wasn't that he wasn't the best player. He was a number 4 pick, but he still gave us something different. As a coach, you're trying to have something different. We would always say, he got to that 14-minute mark. It was like, okay, let's put our guy in right now, and the game changed. He was the game changer for us, so we had a game changer. But I just thought Coach did an unbelievable job with that and selling that, and I thought Deion, he was so competitive. It made him, angry every time. So he wanted to come in and just prove something every time, and that's what we needed. We needed a spark.
And then as far as other coaches then having to prepare for that, they're preparing for the starting 5, but somewhere in there they had to make a plan. Okay, at some point at the 14-minute mark,
this guy's
we got another plan. This guy's going to be
this guy's coming in. This guy's coming in. So.
This question here, because we mentioned coming up on the 24th, speaking of coach, it'll be Coach Boeheim Day at the Notre Dame game. And in the stream chat, again, if you have a question for Red here, you can put it in the stream chat of QSportsTalk.com. Congratulations on the win. And just wondering, Coach Boeheim used to listen to a lot of the sports talk in town and sometimes participate and call in. Do you pay attention? Do you have a chance to listen, or no?
Nah, not really. Every now and then I may, but not really. It's just, I don't need anyone. I don't need to listen to anyone. That's not that way, in that way of fashion. But like, I know if we're doing something well. I know if I'm not doing something well. So I don't need to hear or,
Yeah.
No, not really.
Well,
I don't.
What about Paulie? Paulie's on.
I listen to him. I always listen to what Paulie has to say. I always do. He's the one guy that I listen to. I mean, when I get a chance to, I do, but I don't spend too much time with it. I mean, again, no one can be harder on themselves than me. I'm my biggest critic. I'm hard on myself, and I challenge myself, and I push myself to get this thing, and to do the best that I can and get the guys and this team playing the way I want them to play.
Now, at the end of the day, at the end of practice, whatever game days, do you, like physically when you get home, take notes and go over them for the day, or just mentally and just kind of like take it all in, or just...
So typically after a game or after a practice, I try to take my, I just, step away for a second and then look at it again, because your emotions are still running high. You still, upset or whatever it may be. So you're still kind of looking through that lens. And I like to kind of cool off a little bit. And so I typically get up probably around 4:30ish, 5ish, and get right back at it. Then I'll watch practice or I'll watch the game again and kind of just take my notes down, and then I'll watch it again around 8 or 9 o'clock just to make sure that my notes match up with the first time I watched it. So again, I'm constantly watching practices and games before I even meet with my coaching staff, and then we'll watch it together as a staff, and then we'll present to the team. So I'm constantly doing stuff like that.
This here from the stream chat. Matt wants to know, what does it mean to have the fans support Justin?
I know that's been the question, and I talked about it earlier, and I was very, disappointed in that, what happened. And,
I agree with you.
That's not what you do, especially from our fans. Our community these guys all want to play well. They all want to represent Syracuse University and the community. So it's just, it just didn't sit well with me. He's a great kid, and he works as hard, and everybody has ups and downs, right? So
sure.
So we're not going to support him when he's down. That's not what we do. You help him, you encourage him, you get him through. They should be giving him a standing ovation to try to help him. But
agreed.
But that's to me, that was the one thing out of everything that happened that game. That was the one thing I was really disappointed at, and that I heard that, and and he's playing, to help us win.
Sure.
Think he wants to, no one wants to just not contribute and not play well or whatever the case may be. So, as a community, as a fans, you want to cheer these guys on and encourage these guys. That's what we do.
And what other line of work would they like? If you're landed in a plane and it was bumpy, you don't boo the pilot. Boo.
Well, you can't boo the pilot. Yeah. You can boo the pilot as long as you land it. Then you can boo it.
Let me see. Here's a question. Coach, how has your wife adjusted to the new job title, and did your Valentine's plans change because of your new title?
Well, it did change for her. She treated herself to Valentine's Day, some Valentine's gifts that I wasn't aware of. No, she's doing fine. She's doing well. The thing about my wife is that we have a junior in high school, and then we have our other son who's a freshman playing at GW. So she keeps herself pretty busy, and she tries to be there for me. But I told her I'm okay. I can handle this. But she's busy, so she's handling it well, though. She's busy.
At the North Carolina game, and I know we talked about this, I think this morning when we had you on, and my vote for MVP of the game was who's ever in charge of the replays. Just because there were so many great replays in the technology to focus and zoom in and get it right. In this case, they got them right, and obviously to the team's benefit, because and I heard you talking with Matt on the way in about that. I mean, years ago, that wouldn't have been the case. And then who knows what would have happened? They get more possessions out of it.
Yeah, who knows what would happen.
But you'd mentioned, because I think I asked you this morning, are incidents about that, with things that were overturned. And I forgot the question I asked you this morning, like if there was something that you'd like to see like a rule, not a rule change, but something that needs to be looked at. And you mentioned a specific game, and it was maybe a Georgetown game, or
it was a Georgetown TCU game this year.
So, explain again what happened in that game that caught your eye. That's like it doesn't seem fair, but that's the rule.
So, they called. No, the guy shot the ball, and obviously you got to review if he got the ball off in time.
So look, they clowned it down to like 0. You couldn't tell.
So that's what they were reviewing. When they went to review it, you could see he was out of bounds.
Oh, and it wasn't called.
They didn't call because they didn't. That's not what they were going to the monitor for. So once they showed it on the jumbotron, everybody sees it. It's like the basket is no good. It shouldn't count, but you can't. You can't.
Because that's not what they were looking for.
That's not what you were looking for. So, stuff like that, and then it's another one. We actually, the Louisville game, they called the goaltend, right? And when we went to goaltend, and they called the goaltend, and he blocked the shot, and Malik kind of caught it and put it back in. Do you know if the referee did not say that was a goaltend and it wasn't a goaltend, we would have lost possession of the ball?
Really?
Yeah.
And that's just because that's the rule.
That's the rule. We would have lost possession of the ball. Even though Malik was there, caught it, and put it back in, it didn't matter.
It wouldn't have mattered.
We would have lost possession of the ball. The ball would have went back to Louisville.
Well,
so those are some rules that need to be changed.
They got to take a look at that. We talked to JJ this morning, coach, and talking about and asking him about Quadir and his defensive plays at the end of the North Carolina game down in that corner. I mean, he was one right after the other. He was just active. And I told JJ, I appreciate Quadir's swagger, the way he was pointing, knowing they're going to overturn this, they're going to overturn it, and he was just confident. And JJ said, to play that position or any position at this level, you got to have, a certain amount of swagger. And I think he said that Quadir has a generous amount of that.
No. I think my whole team does.
I think how he put it.
Yeah, my whole team does. But Quadir, he does have confidence. Well, they all do, and that's what I love about this team. These guys are a very confident team, and I think people say, oh, well, aren't they all? And we all know, this is a long season and things happen, and we all would like to think that, when I was that young, I was that confident. No, not like these guys are. We didn't have to grow up in today's world the way they grow up in. They got media outlets, they got everybody telling them what it's a tremendous amount of pressure that these young athletes have to deal with and go through. The DMs and Instagram and all this stuff. That people can just directly just say whatever they want to them, and everything that they do is before it would be like, oh, the people that went to the game said, oh yeah, I don't know if he, and then you had a little newspaper article and that was it.
Yep, and it was gone.
That was it. That was it. So now in today's world, it's just like everybody. So again, they deal with things that we did not deal with growing up. So so to have a confident group like we have, that's a good thing. You need to have people that are confident.
And do you manage that, or just any college coach for that matter have classes or whatever to kind of manage that part of it, the social media part, because it is different. I mean, it throws a whole bunch of different pressure and stress on kids that didn't exist before. Yeah, no, we talk to our players.
We have people come in and talk to them about social media. We talk to them about how they post, what they post, trying to shut it down during the season, try to limit it and stay off of it, because at the end of the day, like, Coach used to say it, and it's true, like, if you played a good game, if you played a bad game. You don't need people telling you if you play good or bad. You know it, and all that matters is really us, the coaches. So even when sometimes you think you play bad, I'm saying, no, you didn't. You didn't play as bad as you think you did. So again, social media is something that, my kids, I have to talk to them about it. I think if you're an athlete, I think at certain times of the year, you want to stay off of it, especially if you're in your season.
Yeah.
Just stay off of it. As much as you can.
Nothing good coming to that.
It's just not. It's just not.
Let me see another one. Going back to that play that you were talking about with Malik in was it the Louisville game?
Yeah,
you said the question was, why would we have lost possession if Malik wound up with it?
Because it was called goaltending. So they were looking at the call. So anything after that didn't matter. It was the call. Is it a goaltend or not? So once they that's what they were reviewing, and then if it wasn't a goaltend, you lose your possession.
If you have a question here for Red on QSportsTalk.com, that's the fun of this format, is this is the only place you can catch it. And I think you may have addressed this in the first hour or two, questions that come up about Chance and William. Any chance that they would be able to help by the end of the season? But I don't think. No. I think it's no, right?
No. I think I sometimes I probably should just not say anything. But someone asked me about Will Patterson. Asking about like thoughts, and I'm like, yeah, I think about everything, But no, Will is finishing up. He's really developing. Again, we got 6 games left. It's just to burn a year. And he's developing, and chances, for him to come back this late, it just doesn't make sense. I'd just rather have them, finish out the year and get ready for the summer and have some good workouts and get prepared for next year's team.
Earlier in the week, we talked to Jerry, and it was after the Clemson game, and about Malik and the job. And this was, it must have been, we talked to him, maybe it was before the game, but Jerry said, and I do echo the same thing, that Malik has kind of got, I would say, under the radar, but does a lot more than he gets credit for, like against some of the big loads in the ACC, P.J. Hall, the Clemson and the North Carolina guys. But Malik is more than held his own, but he kind of does it in a quiet way, if that's possible.
Yeah, no, it is possible for him. He's very quiet, but no, Malik's done a phenomenal job. When you start to break down, his matchups and the people that he's defended, up until this point, I'm going to knock on wood because we still got some games left. Until this point, he's really done a good job of holding big guys in check that he's had to defend. And then I think, obviously from a defensive standpoint, but I think, he should be in consideration, as one of the most improved players, in our league. He's had a great year, and I hope he continues to finish up the way he's been playing. But he does a lot of stuff that goes unseen and untalked about.
From the chat, let me see, just a note. Ryan saying Caitlin Clark has passed Kelsey Plum to become the all-time leading scorer in NCAA women's basketball. That's quite an accomplishment.
Oh man, it's unbelievable.
She's fun to watch.
She's fun to watch. I've watched. They're playing right now, so she's fun to watch. She. She's one of the. She's a generational player. It's a generational talent. She's going to be fun to watch for more years to come.
This one here, question: does Coach Boeheim ever stop by, like the facilities?
Yeah, I seen Coach today.
Oh, yeah?
I see Coach a lot.
Does he still have? I know he's not in the same office, but I know he has an office there.
Yeah, I see him a lot. He was in the office today. We talked. He's not always around. Because he's traveling now. He's doing teas and personality now. He's in the media now. So I got to be careful when I talk to him now. No, but I see Coach. He stops in. He's the best. He's still around. Yeah.
So sometimes you think he just stops in just to get out of the house. It's like, I think I gotta go to work.
Yeah, no, he works. He's not one to sit down anywhere. So, he's been busy, and we'll come in and we'll talk shop, talk basketball, talk what's going on like we normally do. So,
the game that Malik had the 5x5.
5x5, yeah.
That was, I had to look, when I heard it after the game, I had to Google it. I had never ever heard it that way. It's an amazing accomplishment. I think what's the stat? It's only happened 3 times in the past.
Couldn't tell you.
15 years or whatever. But then that led me down the rabbit hole of other rare scoring, rare things in college basketball. For example, the most games scoring at least 50 points in a season. 50. Pete Maravich did it 10 times his senior year.
Yeah, he was. Didn't he have like 44 or something like that?
Yeah, he's still. I think it's still.
Yeah,
that was before the 3-point shot.
Before the 3-point shot. Yeah, he was. That.
So 10 games with 50 points as a senior.
Wow, yeah. Who's close? Who's second? Do you know?
I don't even know if anybody. I mean, that's one of those ones that I don't see that one changing anytime soon.
Yeah, I never scored 50. In the high school game, I didn't score 50.
What was the most that you ever had in high school?
Most I ever scored in the high school game, I think, might have been 44 points.
That's a solid outing.
Yeah, I was on fire. I think I missed 2 shots that game. I was like 16 for 18 or something crazy like that. Yeah, it was high school.
That's an efficient night of basketball.
Mm-hmm. Never happen again.
Can you still dunk it?
Can I still dunk it? I couldn't dunk it back then.
How old were you when you first?
When I first started.
Yeah, when you first dunked the ball.
I probably was 13 or 14. Probably 13. Yeah, 13.
Wow.
Yeah, I won the dunk, and it was a low rim now, but I still
it still counts.
It still counted. And then I was like, I want to dunk on a big rim, so I would run the steps that whole summer. I lived on the 11th floor, so I would go and run every step 2 or 3 times, and then I would go back and run every other step 2 or 3 times, and the next thing you know, I would go out and just try to dunk it all day long.
That's a great feeling, though, when you can do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I got some of the biggest scorers of all the time in college basketball.
Who do you have there?
Kevin Bradshaw for U.S. International. Don't even know who that is. Scored 72 points against Loyola Marymount when they were doing that run.
With that Bo Kimball and those guys?
Yeah, when they were doing it. Pete Maravich, second highest with 69.
Wow.
And then listen to this. Third, Calvin Murphy at Niagara scored 68 points against Syracuse.
You know what?
In 1968. And I've heard Jim Boeheim talk about that. It was the most demoralizing event he's ever seen in his life.
Wow. 68 points?
Yeah.
That takes me like 4 or 5 games to get to 68 points, man.
Let's see. There was one more kind of unique stat that kind of came out of that deep dive. The only quadruple double in NCAA history. A guy from Tennessee, Martin Lester Hudson, 25 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like 10 turnovers or something.
No.
Wow.
The good kind.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. Gee.
That's a solid night of performance there. Aside from that, Coach, obviously at Georgia Tech, and I heard a little bit of that conversation with Matt on the way in. But 3-11 in the conference, but those 3 wins, Duke, North Carolina, and Clemson.
Yeah. I mean, just huge wins, right? Your 3 wins are like top 10 teams almost, and probably 3 top 25 teams. So no, Georgia Tech's a good team. I know Damon. We were in college at the same time. Actually, if we'd have won my last game that we lost to Missouri, the next game we were supposed to play, he was at Arizona.
Oh, wow.
My buddy Khaled Reeves. So we would have played them in an Elite 8 to go to the Final Four.
Oh, wow.
Senior year. So he's done a great job. But they're a good team. Young team, talented. He has two young freshmen who are gonna be really good, and they're good now, and they're gonna get better. And then he's just done a good job with them. A really good job. He has. They are. They're disciplined. They run great offense. They have an identity, and he's done a good job with them.
Coach Red Autry. Red, always a pleasure. It's a lot of fun every Thursday at 8 here, the exclusive Nye Automotive Q&A on the QSportsTalk.com stream chat. Good luck. Go Orange Saturday. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. See you next week, everybody. Thanks.
Sure.